Okay, so on the test, question number 1 is order of operations. So 22 minus 2, 8 plus 2 times 3 squared plus 1. Now, the most common mistake made on this is people wanted to do the 22 minus 2 right away. You can't do that because it's not, the 2 is subtracted from the 22, but it's also multiplying what's in the parentheses. An order of operations says you got to multiply before you can subtract. So that subtraction can't be done quite yet. So we have to do our order of operations. Our first level of priority is those enclosing symbols. So that's the parentheses. Now inside there, we're checking for things to do, and we see that there is an exponent, so 3 to the second power. So that's where we must begin. So 3 to the second power is 8, so I replace that with an 8. Next, inside the parentheses, we have multiplication, 2 times 8. We're going to replace that with a 16. Now the parentheses is just down to addition and subtraction, so we're going to go left to right. So I'm going to do this in one step here. 24, 8 plus 16 is 24, plus 1 is 25. So now what's in our parentheses has been reduced to a single number. We don't need the parentheses anymore. But when we take it out, we got to make sure we put in this multiplication. What's that? Oh, shoot, that's my fault. You're not confused. I'm just tired. 3 squared is 9. Sorry about that. So then this is 2 times 9 is 18. Does that look better? Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. 8 plus 18 is 26, plus 1 is then 27. So now we have the 2 times, I wrote 25 again. 2 times 27 is 54. This is now 22 minus 54, which is a negative 32. So the answer for number 1 should have been a negative 32. Does that make more sense now, even with all my screw-ups? Okay. Yeah, a lot of people ended up with 540 for that one for some reason. Okay. Let's just kind of zip down through number 2 here. So here we've got 4 times 6 is 24. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 10 plus 8 is 18, minus 1 is 17. Most people did pretty well on that one. Number 3. I'm going to leave just a little bit of space here because the fraction bar says I'm going to have to do everything on top first, then do everything on bottom, and then divide. So on top here, I leave space so that I can do the 5 times 2 is 10, and 14 plus 10 is 24. On bottom, 4 squared is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. And 24 divided by 8 is 3. Okay, starting on number 4, the fractions are ones everybody thinks they have them down, but I always catch a few mistakes on these every semester. That's because I think we get used to using the calculator and we don't realize just how much work there is to doing some of these by hand. And I'll admit I'm guilty of not doing my fractions with by hand as much as I should anymore either. So 3/4 plus 2/3. we need a common denominator, which will be 12. It was 4 times 3 to make 12, so 3 times 3 will make 9. 3 times 4 makes 12, so 2 times 4 is going to make 8. So now when we add, once we have the same name, we combine the counts. 8 and 9 make 17, and we keep the same name, so it stays 12ths. Now we reduce that into a mixed number. 12 goes into 17 once with 5 left over, so 1 and 5 twelfths. Five. I'll get more room here. Number 5, we got 13 fifteenths minus 1/2. So again, we are looking for a common denominator, which appears to be 30. 15 times 2, so 13 times 2 is 26. 2 times 15 to make 30, so 1 times 15 is 15. 26 minus 15 is 11. We keep the same name of 30ths. So that's it for that one. Number 6 is where I started to see the most mistakes with the fractions. Multiplication. So we got 15 sixteenths times 12 25ths. And here's one where cross-canceling makes this a lot easier on us. If I can cross-cancel, both the 15 and 25 can be divided by 5. Will give us 3 and 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 25 divided by 5 is 5. And the 16 and the 12 can both be divided by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 5 is 20. Any questions so far? Good. Number 7. Another one where cross-canceling comes into play a lot. But to do that, we got to remember to keep the first fraction the same. I caught a couple people inverting that first fraction. And it's the second, it's the one we're dividing by that we take the reciprocal of. So this becomes 35 over 32. So now 25 and 35 can be divided by 5. Will give me 5 and 7. 24 and 32 divided by 8 to give me 3 and 4. So 3 times 7 is 21. 5 times 4 is 20. It's an improper fraction, so I'm going to reduce it to a mixed number. That is 1 and 1/20. I caught a couple people lost a point on that one because they did not reduce it to a mixed number. Number 8. Coming in now with the mixed numbers, and I'm just going to write it vertically to start off with. So 4 and 1/3 plus 8 and 3/5. So we need our common denominator is going to be 15. 3 times 5 to make 15, so 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 3 to make 15, so 3 times 3 is 9. 5 and 9 make 14 fifteenths. 4 and 8 make 12. Any questions on the first page? Good. Cool. So next, number 9, subtracting our mixed numbers. 9 and 3/5 minus 5 and 2/3. Common denominator is going to be 15 again. 5 times 3 makes 15, so 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 5 makes 15, so 2 times 5 is 10. Caught a couple people just doing 1/15 here, but you got to be careful. It's 9 minus 10, not 10 minus 9. We cannot subtract 10 from 9, so we have to borrow. This becomes 8. So we borrowed that one whole object from the 9. It contains 15 pieces. The denominator tells us each whole object is 15 pieces. So we add that to our 9 pieces to get 24/15. And now we subtract. 24 minus 10 is 14/15. 8 minus 5 is 3. I caught quite a few people on that one. Number 10 also caught a few people. When we are multiplying with mixed numbers, we can multiply the mixed numbers. I showed you guys how, but it's not very pleasant. Usually it's better to just go ahead and make them improper fractions. The denominators won't change. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And now we can cross cancel. The 4 and 8 both divide by 4 to give me 1 and 2. 13 times 2 is 26. 1 times 3 is 3. If I reduce that down, 3 goes into 26 8 times, which would be 24 with 2 left over. 8 2/3. Number 11. We're dividing with mixed numbers. Just like with our multiplication, since we're going to change the division into multiplication, that makes sense. We're going to turn this into improper fractions. So again, our denominators stay the same. So 8 times 3 is 24, plus 2 is 26. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Now you're tempted to cross cancel here, but you can't because it's still division. The 26 over 3 will not change. It's the one we're dividing by, so it's going to be multiplying by 4 over 13. And now here we can cross cancel. 26 and 13 can both be divided by 13 to give me 2 and 1. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. That's 2 and 2/3. Any questions so far? Good. Good. Number 12, adding decimals. You have to remember to line up those decimal points to keep the place values lined up, because we can only add things that have the same name or same place value. So we fill in a 0 there. 0 plus 9 is 9. 8 plus 17 is 15, or 8 plus 7 is 15, so 5 carry the 1. 106 is 7. Bring the decimal point down. 2 and 4 is 6, and we have the 3. 36.759. Thirteen is a subtraction problem. Just like with addition, we must have the same name, so we're going to line up our decimal point. Also, so decimal points line up. Also, like addition, we're going to add that 0 in there. Now we subtract. 0 minus 9 can't be done, so we borrow from the 3. That's a 2, and this is a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. 2 minus 4 can't be done. We borrow from the 6 to make it a 5, and this is a 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. Bring that decimal point down. 5 minus 8 can't be done, so we borrow from the 5. That's a 4, and this is a 15. 15 minus 8 is 7, and 4 minus 1 is 3. So that was the end of the stuff you had to do by hand. From here on out, you could do it with a calculator. I'm going to go ahead and do it by hand just, well, because I'm silly that way, I guess. We have 3.4 times 0.56. We do not need to line up decimal points because we're multiplying. When we multiply, we don't need the same name. I would be tempted to put the 0.56 on top myself. Just for some reason, it feels easier, even though they both are only 2-digit numbers. The 0 in front makes me want to put that on top, but it doesn't matter. 6 times 4 is 24, so that's 4 carry the 2. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 2 is 20, so 0 carry the 2. Put in our placeholder here and move over to the 5. 5 times 4 is 20, so 0 carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17, so 7, carry over the 1. So add at 4, 0, 9, and 1. Decimal point goes. We had 1, 2, 3 decimal places in our problem. We're going to have 1, 2, 3 decimal places in our answer. 1.904. 15 trips a lot of people up. I used to have actually 14 and 15 in the section for no calculator, and I moved them a few years ago just because of the mistakes. 4.32 divided by 0.24. We have to move the decimal point 2 spots to make that 24. Remove this 2 spots to make it 432. So that's the same as 432 divided by 24. 24 goes into 43 once. That's 24. We subtract, we get 19. Bring down the 2. 24 goes into 19 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. That's 2 carried to 3. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19. There's nothing left over. So it goes in there exactly 18 times. So then a little bit with percents. For number 16, blank is 42% of 37. So we always start with the percents. 42% is going to be 42 over 100 equals blank is 42. So that missing number, the blank goes with the 42 of 37. We think of that as out of 37, goes on bottom there. And we will cross multiply and divide. 42 times 37 is 1,554. Divided by 100 is 15.54. $17. 48 is 160% of blank. So again, I start with the percent, 160 over 100. 48 is 160%. So the 48 goes with 160 over x. Let's cross multiply and divide. 100 times 48 is 4,800. Divided by 160 is 30. So 48 is 160% of 30. Okay, 18 and 19 with the word problems. I tripped up quite a few people on these. For number 18, the price of an x-ray is $320. If the price is scheduled to go up 18% next week, what will the price be after the increase? So find the new price. So there's two ways we can go about this. 18% increase, 18 out of 100, and find 18% of 320. If we cross multiply and divide there, 18 times 320 divided by 100 should come out to be, what, $57.60, I believe. Then, of course, we would have to add that to the original price. That's the increase, 18% increase. So add that to the 320, gives us 60 cents, 773. So $377.60. The other way we could have approached that is said, hey, after an 18% increase, we had 100%, we're adding 18%, so what we're getting is 118%. So we could have done 118% out of 100 equals how much out of 320? And there, if we cross multiplied and divided, we would have gotten $377.60 in a single operation. Okay, the next one, number 19, was probably the second most missed question on the test. Network discount is 11%. Network discount, just because if you're within insurance companies usually have a preferred provider networks arranged so that they get a slight discount on services. After discount, so after the discount, you pay $267. What was the price without the discount? Well, a lot of people jumped in here and they found 11% of the $267. Problem is that 11% is not based on the price after the discount. It's based on the price before the discount. So we had our price before, we subtracted the discount to get the price after. We're looking at percents and dollars here. We know the price after is $267. The discount was 11. Our before price is the whole amount, or 100%. So we're subtracting. 100 minus 11 means the after price, the price that we paid, was 89%. We want to know the price before right here. So I can actually just ignore that middle row, and I'll cross multiply and divide right here in the table. 100 times 267 divided by 89 is $300. On these, it's always a good idea to work them backwards. So once I have my answer, let's double check. Let's find 11% of the 300 and see if it takes us back to 267. Well, 11 times 300 divided by 100 is $33. If I do 300 minus 33, it does take me back to the $267. So the $300 original price before the discount is correct. Any questions on page 2? Good. Perfect. 20 and 21, I always catch a lot of people on these for some reason. Number 20 is taking 4659.371 rounded to the nearest 100. I catch students every semester going to the nearest hundredth, but the hundreds digit is right here. It's the 6. That next digit is a 5, which tells us to round it up from a 6 to a 7. 4,700. 21, 843.5749 to the nearest hundredth. The hundredth place is the 7. That 4 is less than 5, so we're going to round it down. So 843.5, and that's just going to stay 7. 22. 23.0554 to the nearest 10th. 10th digit is the 0, but the 5 is telling us to round up, so 23.1. 23. Convert 0.863 to a percent. Well, we're just moving the decimal to go from a decimal to a percent. We move the decimal point over 2 spots. That's just 86.3%. 24, convert 230% to a decimal. Move the decimal point 2 spots to the left. Become 2.3 as a decimal. 25, convert 24% to a fraction. Well, 24% is 24 out of 100. Both of those can be reduced by 4. Give me 6 over 25. 26, convert 3/8 to a percent. So 3 over 8 equals blank out of 100. We cross multiply. 3 times 100 is 300. Divided by 8 is 37.5. So 3/8 is 37.5%. 27, convert 0.750 to a decimal. or not to decimal, to the fraction, I should say. Well, we don't need the 0 on there because that doesn't mean anything. So we read that as 75 hundredths. Both of those can be reduced by 25. I don't think anybody had that one wrong. Maybe one person. I mean, most people just recognize 0.75 as 3/4. And number 28, final conversion here. Convert 5/8 to a decimal. So you're just taking 5 divided by 8, which is 0.625. Any questions on those? Good. So 29, A is XXIV. So to convert this, we look at it, but we also have to look at the symbol after it. So this is X, the symbol after it's another X. So I'm just going to put that in as its value of 10. This X, the symbol after it is an I, which is smaller than it, so we're going to put that X in as another 10. I is followed by V, which is larger than it. So this is not a 1, it's actually a 1 taken away from the 5. So 5 minus 1, or 4. So that adds up to 24. So because this I, which stands for 1, is in front of a symbol that stands for a larger value, the V stands for 5, we subtract it from that symbol. B, we've got XCVII. X here stands for 10, but it's in front of the C, which stands for 100. So it's 100 minus 10, or 90. The V is 5. 1 and 1 makes 2. That adds up to 97. And C, IIISS. Of course, III is 3. A lot of people confused S as being 1/2. It's not. SS is 1/2. So those two combine to make 1/2. Some people put it in there as 3 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 and made it a 4. But it's the two S's together make 1/2, not each of them. So that ends up being 3.5 as our answer. The other direction? 249 into our Roman numerals. Well, 2 is 100, or 100 is C, so 2 is going to be CC. 40, I can't do a 40 because I can't do 4 X's. So I'm going to have to do XL, that's 10 from 50 to make 40. And then my 9 is IX, 1 from 10. Now, a couple of people did this, CCIL. 49 is 1 less from 50, so they put an I in front of the L to subtract 1 from 50. I accepted that, but technically it's poor grammar for Roman numerals. We only subtract from one order of magnitude. So from a 50, you'd have to subtract a 10, then build up the 9. You go one digit at a time. So anyway, B is 27. That one's relatively simple. 20 is 2 10s. 7 is a 5 and 2 1s. So XXVII. And 9.5. Well, 9, you have to do 1 away from 10. So IX, and 1/2 is SS. So IXSS. Next, 30. Patient's temperature is rising at 0.8 degrees per hour. How long will it take for his temperature to rise 3.2 degrees? So 3.2 divided by 0.8 is 4 hours. Any questions on that page? Good. Now the last page as a group you guys did surprisingly well. This is usually where most of the mistakes are made. But as a group you did pretty well on this. Number 31, 500 milliliters of an IV drip going to a patient every 4 hours. So it's actually 500 milliliters in 4 hours. That's as a ratio. How many milliliters are going to go in 10 hours? So we set up the proportion like this. So 500 times 10 divided by 40 is 1,250 milliliters. Or you could have divided the 500 times 4, divided by 4 to get 125 milliliters per hour, and then divided or multiplied by 10 to get it to 10 hours. So 125 milliliters. 32. The physician uses 1/4 of a 600 milliliter vial. So 600 times 1/4 is 150 milliliters. How much is left is the key to that. So 600 minus the 150 that was used, you're left with 450 milliliters. 33, physician orders a patient to have no more than 20 milligrams of medication in one day, has received dosages of 4.8, 3.6, 5.1, and 2.9. That adds up to 16.4. How much more medication can the patient be allowed? Well, no more than 20. So 20 minus 16.4 is 3.6 milligrams. (34) Patient's white blood cell count increases 2 1/4 times. What percent increases this? All it's asking us to do is take 2 1/4 and convert it into a percent. So 2 1/4 over 1 equals how much out of 100? Cross multiply and divide. This is 225. So this is 225%. Or you could have done the 2 1/4 into a decimal of 2.25 and move the decimal point over 2 spots to get 225%. Either way, 225%. 35. Cost of medication is $1.50 per tablet, plus a $3.75 processing fee. How much for 35 tablets? So 35 times $1.50, so 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25, so 5.2. 5 times 2 is 7, plus 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Put in a 0. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So 7 and 5 is 2. Carry the 1. So $52.50 plus the $3.75 fee. So 512. Carry the 1. Bring down the decimal. 6. So $56.25. Okay, the last one tripped up a few people. Some people reported it as a standard number. That's fine. I accepted that. Let's go through how we would do this. So CLIX plus CXCVII. Now, the one shortcut I always do is if there's something like this where there's a C or an X in front of a C, that X is subtracted. So I'm just going to use it to cancel out an X in the other one. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. So now I can combine symbols, and I usually start with the smaller ones. I, and I don't have to worry about that. That's good. Nothing to combine with the V. There's an L, and then there's 3 C's. So CCC, L, V, I. Oops, I got to be careful there. This I was being subtracted, so I got to cancel out an I for it. So there's really only one I left. So it's CCCLVI. Now, the other way we could have done that is we could have just converted. CLIX. C is 100. L is 50. IX is 9. It's I in front of the X means it's 1 away from 10. That's 159. CXCVII. Well, this first C is 100. X in front of the C is 10 from 100, or 90. Plus 5 plus 2. So it's 192. Why does that not seem right? What did you do wrong there? Oh, I forgot the 5. 97. That's why it's not right. Sorry, I'm tired today. I've been making some stupid mistakes. So now 9 plus 7 is 16. Carry the 1. That's 16 again. 15, sorry. Carry the 5. Carry the 1. 356. Some people left it as 356, and I did accept that. But technically, you should change it back. 300 is C, C, C. 50 is L, and 6 is VI. That's it for the test. Any questions? Okay. Go. What's that? Okay, good. Don't forget that you can correct any problems you got wrong. Whether you want to write them on your test and have somebody at the school scan and email that to me, or if you just want to send me an email directly, just say, hey, I had problem 2 or problem 1 wrong. Show me the steps of what you should have done in the email. Remember, my email is todd.hoff@witc.edu. So that's probably the easiest way to do it if you don't have too many wrong. Otherwise, if you want to write it right on the test and have them scan it again and send it to me, that is fine as well.